Hello, welcome to my channel Dharma Makes, and welcome to this project. For the first time in my life, I tried wire-wrapped jewelry. Earlier this year, I went to Seaham, which has beaches famous for sea glass, and I found this large, roundish, blue sea glass amongst my many other treasures, of course, but it was the largest piece and it had these gorgeous bands inside. Let me show you a better look. Onto the project. I looked up some video tutorials, some pictures of wire-wrapped jewelry. It was usually with gemstones, but I thought it would work greatly with the sea glass piece that I had. This copper wire is actually leftover from like household wiring. It's not jewelry wire. Later I found out that jewelry wire is something that they call dead copper, so it's much softer. It's probably heat treated differently and much easier to work with. Mine was very stiff. First I measured 4 lengths of the wire, just kind of eyeballing it. I didn't know how much I needed, and I tried my best to straighten them with my fingers. And I wrapped another piece of wire around all 4 of them while I tried to make them stay close to each other. I'm using my fingers and the pliers to tighten those coils, and with this I'm sort of creating a cradle for the sea glass piece to rest on. This is going to be the bottom and kind of like the base for the whole piece. So when I made a big enough section of a wrapped wire down there, I cut off the excess and I just kind of tidied it up a little bit. It's not perfect, it's not symmetrical, but nothing in this project will be, so I'm just running with it. After that, I am bending it around the shape of the sea glass and separating some of the wires, basically picking 2 in the back that I'm going to cross over to create sort of like baskety section where the bulk of the sea glass can rest in, so that it's nicely cupped. And I cross these 2 wires together, or like over each other, so there's like a little crisscross. At this point it was really reminding me of those like champagne tops, but I was trying my best to create a sort of thing where the roundness of the sea glass can rest in. When I'm done with that part, I come back to the front and I take 4 of the wires in the front and I'm kind of crisscrossing them, sort of like weaving them together, forming this sort of hopefully appealing lattice. And I am bending the back 2 wires, kind of like squeezing them together so that they're actually tight around the sea glass piece. And I'm using one of the front pieces to wrap around the base of those 2 joined in the back. And this is actually the step where the sea glass got captured and fixed inside of this crazy wire contraption. And now I'm trying to wrap around all the other wires from the front and forming a sort of cluster, I suppose, a cluster of spirals. I know that eventually I want to go with a curlicue motif, so it was necessary, and also I was leaning into it a little bit. I got rid of some of the shorter leftover wires, and I'm trying my best to tuck them in. Now with the 4 that I'm left from the back wires, I tried my best to straighten them as much as I could, and then I'm first bending them forward and then wrapping them around my round pliers to make the bail where the pendant can hang from. And when I'm done with that, I'm finally getting to the fun part, and I am using the same round pliers to create these sort of curlicues, and I'm weaving some of the longer ones few times more wherever I can find space around the sea glass, and rolling them up in these cute little spirals. Honestly, this is probably the most creative part of the entire process. I found it hard. I think jewelry making is not the craft for me, but I will try everything. Maybe with softer wire, proper tools, and a little bit more learning, I might find it more pleasurable. But for now, I won't be making more jewelry. I just really wanted to make this one piece of sea glass into something that's wearable, as it's such a special, interesting and large piece, and it seemed like a waste to use it up in something else. Wearing it as a jewelry is probably giving it the most honor, if you know what I mean. Oh, I know I'm being silly, but I don't know, just the majesty of a piece of glass worn down by the sea into those smooth rounded edges it just seems special to me and worthy of a place of honor. So yeah, I just continue playing with the curlicues until I use up all of the leftover little extra wires, and as you can see, each one comes out differently, and sometimes I manage to hook them around other wires to secure them in place, to tuck away anything that may be scratchy or get caught on clothing or hair. Of course, the pendant should be hanging from something, so I have taken this black cord and I've taken 4 equal strands of it, and I'm going to be braiding them together, just doing a very basic 4-strand braid, and I'm just securing the knot to my work surface so that I can have a little bit of tension as I go. So I'm first splitting the 4 into 2, and I'm working the strands right over left, and then the 2 middle ones left over right. And it's a little bit tricky at the very beginning because my strands are so long, and almost with every pull I have to pull my hands through each strand so they don't get tangled. But as I go, I pick up some speed, and it also gets a little bit easier to handle as it gets shorter. And it took me I'd say about 40 minutes to braid this very long piece, and it's not perfect as I'm really out of practice, but it's long enough for the pendant. And I'm just threading it, and I'm joining together the two ends by knotting each corresponding strand with the one from across it, and then tying some delicate double knots and trimming the long tails. And there it is. My wire wrapped sea glass pendant is done. I know it's not perfect, but it was my first try, and the person who is receiving it as a gift is very happy with it. So I guess I'm happy too. I make lots of different crafty projects on my channel. Jewelry making is not my forte, but I have miniatures, embroidery projects, home decor items, and a lot more. So I invite you to please go visit my channel and have a look. Maybe you'll find something interesting. If you really like my content, please do subscribe. I publish new videos every week. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day. Bye.